What's going on? Today we're going to talk about perseverance. I got my boy Shakeem, the Mean Machine, the reason why I have him today. And it's kind of like spitting fire pockets if you guys have followed me for a couple of years. But just to give you a little background on myself, my name is Michael Barayev. I was able to build a team of 150 plus sales guys in less than 2.5 years. And we did it with zero money invested. And I did this with this beautiful guy right here to the right. And now we have a solar company that's growing like crazy from coast to coast, like butter on
toast.
Yeah. All right. So what I want to talk about is perseverance, right? And the reason why I want to talk about perseverance with Shakeem is because when I met Shakeem, he was not who he is today. Completely different personality, completely different person, completely different, character, I would say, just in a different situation than he is today, right? And it just amazes me how other people go through a bunch of bullshit when it comes to sales, when it comes to business, when it comes to a lot of things, and they just don't know how to persevere. So that's what we're going to talk about, We're going to talk about that today, and just talk about your story, how you persevered in some of the situations.
Yeah, man, so I'll give you guys a little bit of a backstory of where we met, because he mentioned of where we met, and it was humble beginnings. I like to mention my life. If any of you guys know or come from the inner city, you know a little about something that we call the project.
From the hood, son.
Right, where there isn't much information, there isn't much knowledge being given out. So, coming in contact with certain people, realizing your insufficiencies and your deficiencies, and latching on to those things to get those value points is really, really intricate and important.
So let me ask you this: when you were going through those tough moments and kind of building, because you started on door-to-door sales with us, you started out from the bottom, started off from the bottom, we're here. Right? But you started from the bottom. What helped you persevere? Because you got into a car accident, you got into a situation, you got an ex-girlfriend, all kinds of nonsense. You almost had, a bad relationship, like all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
How'd you persevere?
Yeah, so I think it was a combination of things. One, and I like to sum it up into 3 specific things. One is you have to have self-awareness, right? If you don't have the ability to transcend your situations or turn your situations from bad to good, then you're probably not going to get a chance to persevere.
100%.
The second thing that I feel you guys all need, and we all need to have, is grit, right? Sometimes you got to bite down on your mouthpiece. We had that saying in boxing, when you got hit, sometimes you got to bite down on your mouthpiece, really, plant your feet and throw some punches back. But the third thing I think, which is probably the most important thing, is people don't have the proper expectation of time. I don't think that they understand
that's a
how
good
time
one.
works.
I like that one. Expectation of time. That's amazing because a lot of people, they expect success sooner than later, and they do just enough work to piss themselves off, in my opinion. Like, I always talk about that 211 degrees. Like, I just talked with the guys today. Like, if you want to go out there, I'm like, how many doors are you going to hit today, right? And he said 100 doors, 120 doors. I was like, those are rookie numbers. Because I remember when I used to go to New York, I used to have sticky pads, and I would have 300 stickies. 300 stickies, meaning that every single packet was filled with 50 stickies, and I would slap it on the doors. Now, you might say, Michael, it's New York City, the buildings are all closed, the houses are closed. I'm like, okay, fine. So do 200. That's what the guys today. I'm like, those are rookie numbers, 100 doors? I'm like, damn, I can do 200 doors right now.
Yeah.
I just need some time.
Yeah.
And I know that if I have 200 doors, I'll have enough what? Enough conversations with certain homeowners that'll give me a certain amount of appointments, that'll give me a certain amount of closes. Too many people want too much work. They want too much results out of too little effort. And I understand that perseverance, why go through the pain of perseverance when you could just go through the pain of doing the fucking work?
Right.
Right or wrong? I mean, that's my
100%,
mindset. I'm the kind of guy. I asked my guys today, I was like, let me ask you guys a question. I said, how many guys are going to be a millionaire in your lifetime? Everyone raised their hand. I said, you're right. You will be. If you make $50,000 a year for the next 20 years, you're going to make $1 million.
Right.
I said, every one of you guys will. I'm like, what's the lowest you'll make in a year? 50, 60. Okay, great. There you go. 20 years, you're a millionaire. But wouldn't you, when you say the word millionaire, you're thinking what? How do I make $1 million in a year? The next level is to think how to make $1 million in a month, or how to make $1 million in a week, how to make $1 million in a day. Right? There's people out there making $1 million a day. There are very successful businesses. So you got to think differently, right? How do you compress the time? How do I squeeze the time? Because when you persevere, it's all about the time, the expectation of time, and compressing the time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people, one of my friends this weekend was telling me about Confucius or Buddha or someone. He said, pain only comes from attachment. And sometimes we don't have enough pain because we're not attached to the dream. We're not attached to the goal. You persevere because of the pain.
Yeah.
You persevere because it is challenging. Because you have the pain reminding you why you were attached to the goal, to the dream. So it's important to what? Have a little bit of pain.
Pain.
So most business owners, they run away from pain. Oh, cash flow issue. Oh, my team doesn't listen to me. Oh, some bullshit. I'm like, awesome. That means there's a reason for me to stick around. There's a reason for me to fix this problem, and that pain tells me what I need to work on. And that's how you persevere. It's not the lack of pain that helps you persevere. Because when things are successful, it's very easy to persevere. It's awesome. It's easy.
Yeah.
There's no pain. There's, nothing to worry about. It's when there is pain. That's when you actually need to persevere.
Yeah.
Because that's the reminder, in my opinion. So I like that. Expectation of timing. That's very important. Why do you think people don't have the right expectations of time or work? Like, what do you think stops, the regular person out there or above average person and not create success relatively quickly with the time frame they want to create? Like, what do you think stops them when it comes to that?
I think it's a combination of things. That's a really good question, and I think if we can identify, then everyone would be successful, or we'd have probably like the secret to success for everybody. I think it's a lot of times there's a lot of distractions that go on in life that takes our focus off of what we need to be focused on a daily basis. And if you guys out here,
can I edit that word?
Sure.
Self-imposed distractions.
Oh yeah, self-imposed distractions.
Self-imposed.
Oh yeah.
It's like going to the club. No, sorry to interrupt you, but you go to the club. I mean, you're gonna get some girls to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you end up getting her pregnant. And you just met her that night. I mean, listen, that was a self-imposed distraction that you should create it for your life for no reason for the next 18 years. What are you thinking about?
Right. That kid.
Plus the 9 months. A lot of issues. I'm not saying it's bad to have kids, but like you got to do it in the right time frame.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Sorry for the brief interruption, my commercial break.
Oh yeah, no, but nonetheless, it's true, and these are distractions that are self-imposed because a lot of times we're aware of it. A lot of times we know the mistakes that we make. It's just sometimes you have to have discipline, and when you have discipline plus the correct expectation of time, and you combine those two, it's almost like a recipe for success.
You know what's crazy? We have a Barayev boot camp that we have right now, and guess out of 15 people, guess how many survived it?
1, 2.
Two. We got 2 people still in there.
Now.
Two people.
Right now,
We had a company boot camp. We call it the Barayev boot camp, and it's all about educating yourself, going to the gym, working a certain amount of hours, like doing everything on a consistent basis, working 6 days a week, resting 1 day for God, right, and family. And right now, out of 15 people, only 2 people are still in it after 27 days.
Wow. Yeah.
27 days of being consistent.
Shows you how hard discipline is.
It's not easy to be disciplined.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's definitely doable, right? I always say this: it's easy to do it, easy not to do it. And perseverance is the same shit. I have a mindset, I have a motto. When things get tough, I always say to him the whole time I get the conversation, I'm like, yo, bro, I don't give a shit, bro. I'm not stopping.
All in.
And I'm not giving up.
All in.
I'm not stopping and I'm not giving up. Because if you stop, that's it. Because giving up is actually work, if you really think about it. Giving up takes a lot of work. The amount of ping pong you have to give up is insane. I see people sometimes, especially in our business, they don't give up the day of. They give up weeks before. And those 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of them giving up, it's like watching them burn themselves. Yeah. They're just uncomfortable. I don't know. It's like, dude, just either make a decision. I asked them, I say, hey, yo, bro, quit, bro. Like you're just destroying yourself. Because you cannot win when you have a ping pong mentality. And perseverance is something that a lot of people lack because they don't believe that perseverance will get them the answer. They don't believe that perseverance will give them the actual what? Fruit of the tree. But what I realize is that the ones that do persevere, the ones that do go through the bullshit, the ones that do recognize that there is pain for a reason, success is right around the corner. It's right around the corner. I have this picture of my house. You see it all the time with the diamonds and stuff. With the guy with the axe on the bottom, and he's trying to get the axe, trying to get the diamonds, and he's like, "This close."
He's about to walk away.
And he's just walking away. And the other one is just like, I don't give a shit. He's going through it. And that's the mindset you want to have. Like, don't give up. Yeah. You will get the results. The question is, when? Yeah. You will be a millionaire. Yeah. In 20 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, or in 1 year. Right. The choice is what? The choice is yours. So you got to compress that time. Let me ask you a question. Where do you think you got your grit from?
That's a really good question. I think it has a combination to do with a lot of my upbringing, but I think that where I really developed it was in physical sports. I think the grit really got developed during boxing when I was fighting, my fight years as an amateur fighter, in basketball, because it teaches you the importance of repetition of the same type of repetition. And the compound effect over the long course of time. So I think that grit for me just came through a little bit of the streets, a little bit of the roughness, but I think mostly came through the discipline of going through that.
Did you get through a lot of fights when you were young or no?
Not really, no.
Nobody messed with you, right? Because you were tall and
Tall, I had a little bit of a crowd behind me, and I was a really, really respectful person. I always was like that. Yeah.
I got into a lot of riffraffs. Not on purpose, but I was just small. Riffraffs. I was small, skinny, and scrawny, and so it ended up being, it wasn't always a bad thing. I got, bullied when I was in foster care and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it just, I realized that, that's why I kind of got my grit, like going through the bullshit. Yeah. I got kicked out of 8 schools, so to me it was like, ugh. It's like, all right, another one. It's like I'm always have the mindset of like next. I think that kind of helped me out a little bit with my grit, but I just refuse to give in. I hate losing so much that I'm willing to fucking not give up. I hate losing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel like me. Like I refuse to give in. Because the second I give in, I'm like, damn, I could have given a little bit, like 1%. And what if? That's how I ended up in sales. It's crazy because I'm telling you right now, I'm not lying, I hated sales and door-to-door sales so fucking much. There's not one person that hated it more than me. Not one, I promise you. I hated it so much that I literally told myself every day, today's my last day, I'm gonna just do it and I'm done. Like, I can't. I'm like, there's gotta be a better way. I did it for like 11 months straight. And then I opened up my business. And I was like, okay, there is a better way. Build a fucking team. And I was doing it. Like, it's gotta be a better way. There was. Different product line. And there's always a better way. But I never give in. I refuse to give in because I said, you know what? One more day, one more shot. And you know what's crazy? The compound effect kicked in. I look back, I'm like, holy shit, man. Thank God I didn't give in. Can you imagine what would happen if I gave up in 2015?
Right.
What would happen?
Anyone that would have preceded that moment, you would never came in contact with.
I would have never met you.
Yeah.
I would have never met you. I would have never met some of you guys in the video. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I chose to not give in to the bullshit that I was feeling at that moment. My emotions did not dictate my feelings at that time. Yeah. My emotions did not dictate my actions. They dictated how I felt maybe for a few minutes, but I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to act on my feelings. And I think that if the world, I don't want to say the world thought like me because I don't wish they thought like me because that'd be a very crazy place to be in. Being in my head is very crazy. You know what I mean? You don't want to be in my head.
It's a real statement. It is a real statement.
It's a real statement. Being in my head is a little bit scary sometimes, right? You got some crazy thoughts, right? Good thoughts though. But I just wish people had this. I think if people had the tenacity of not giving up, I think we would be in a better place today. Yeah. Like I feel like what's going on today with Donald Trump and all this stuff, getting arraignment, it's like really. It makes no fucking sense to me. Like. That's the perfect guy who doesn't give up. Yeah. And because he doesn't give up, people want to shit on him. I respect him a lot because he doesn't want to give up. And why should he? He's been trying to help, the American people, whether you believe in him or not, I don't care. I believe every president has a duty and a responsibility to take care of the country, even Biden. And I'm not a big fan of his, but he has a responsibility. Whether he's doing a good job or not, that's not up to me to decide. It's for all of us to decide. But, with that responsibility, how can you give up? How can you give in? And that's kind of like what helped me not give up as well and be perseverant because I was like, all right, I have a responsibility for my 2 younger brothers. I swear to God, that's what I thought about all the time. If I was a bum and I was a loser, what would they look up to? I had a friend this weekend. He came over to my house. He was a neighbor of ours. He's the same age as me almost. And he kept telling me that, you had a father, I didn't. I was like, I had a father? I was like, yeah, I had an abusive father. I had a good father that beat the shit out of me, was very totalitarian in my house. Love him to death, a great guy. But he was not the person he is today that he was back then. He was a different guy. And, I had a father, but I never had a real relationship with my father like that. I didn't have the relationship like other people have, my daddy. I didn't have that. It took me a very long time to forgive my dad in the first place, right? And he used himself by not having a dad, he used that as an excuse. And I told him, while you use it as an excuse, I use that as a fucking reason. The way that I had my dad, raise me and shit, I use it as a fucking reason. Yeah. I said, I will be the fucking elderly brother for my fucking brothers to let them know that they can become successful, and I will never give them a fucking excuse. Yeah. To say, my father, my brother, no. I said, really? If my brothers don't become successful, I will look into their fucking eyes my entire life, and I will say, it's your fucking fault. Because I showed you and I proved to you. By the way, they're smarter than me. They're sharper than me. They're better looking than me. They're more skilled than me, in my opinion, with dealing with people. I'm not the guy that you should say, I'm going to pick this guy to win. They have a lot of great skill sets and they have a lot of great attributes that can make them more successful than I can. And if they fucking decide to be poor and decide to not help people and not help the community and not do that shit, in my opinion, shame on them. Because if I could have done something a little bit, I'm not a billionaire yet, but a little bit, from where I came from, there should be no fucking reason why they can't. Yeah. And that's why I kept, never giving in. Because I got 2 beautiful 4 eyeballs looking at me all the time, and I knew that we have a 5-year difference, and if they look up to me and they just do half of what I did, they'll create 10 times more of the results. And that's what kind of kept me going. So I think a lot of people don't have that inside of them. Yeah. They think that nobody's looking up to them. Maybe you need a younger brother. I don't know.
You need a little bit of a crowd watching you.
Maybe I didn't have an older brother to look up to. I didn't have no examples. Right. It's perseverance. And attaching yourself to something, attaching yourself to pain is probably the best thing on the planet, in my opinion. Attaching yourself to that bullshit that a lot of people don't want to. They don't want to get into the dark force. They don't want to get inside the dark force. They don't want to get into the dark room and start swinging. They're afraid of the darkness. And what I decided to do as a young businessman and a young entrepreneur, I decided to be the fucking light in the darkness. And that's what it takes to become successful. It's perseverance. Mm-hmm. Not perseverance, perseverance. Because most people don't fucking have that. Yeah. And maybe that's why I'm very rough around the edges, and I don't tolerate bullshit around me. Like, if you want to be my friend, it's very difficult. I'm a very, all the time, 100% go, business, bam, 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 bam. That can scare some people. But that's why I have that, because I'm so, I don't know how you feel about this, but I despise weakness. I despise people that just want to slippery slime and say, fuck the world. Listen, I believe there's depression. It's a real thing. It's a real thing in your own head.
Yeah.
You can be depressed. It's real in your head. It's real. It's a real feeling. I'm not saying it's bullshit. It's real. I felt it. But it's a self-imposed feeling sometimes, because your thoughts and your feelings can make you feel that way, and it's a dirty, dirty, slippery road you can go into. Yeah. And you can get out of it. You can if you choose to. It's very difficult, but you can.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you felt depressed when you were younger. I don't know if it ever happened to you.
It's a mind state. It's an illusion, in my opinion. It's a bit of an illusion. It can happen, right? It can be.
It's real.
It's real.
It's real.
It's real. It's
but you choose for it to be real. Yeah, your mind creates it.
It's a perspective.
It
much
is.
like anything else.
And some people will say, well, you need medication to get out of it. Okay, maybe you do. Listen, maybe you do. Can you do it without medication? 1,000%. It's 10 times more difficult, though. Yeah. I did it. Yeah. You might think I need to be medicated. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But I don't need it. That's true. I got myself out of those holes because I literally became friends with pain. Pain is my best friend. I utilize it to my advantage. It's supposed to be that way. Like when you touch a stove, what happens?
Pins up.
Your body's like, oh shit, pain, burning. It's a notification. It's letting you know something is off. So when I feel pain, I'm like, something is off. I need to change something. It's good for me. Now, do I want it every single moment of my life? No, I'm not a fucking, what's that word called? The guy loves pain all day.
Oh yeah, I forgot the name of it.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Painaholic, we'll call it.
Painaholic, whatever. Like, I want to enjoy my life and have a little bit of pleasure too. But when pain does arise a little bit, I'm okay with. I understand where it comes from. Cash flow's tight. I understand where it comes from. Friends want to fucking give up on the business. I'm okay with that pain. Yeah. I've been through so much pain. It's numb. No, I identify with it, but it's numb. Like, all right, you quit again. All right, buddy. Sucks to be you. You decided to give up on the vision because it got too fucking hard. Okay. I'm gonna reap those rewards. I'll give you an example. You plant a seed, right? You make a bunch. Let's say you make 100 sales this year. Okay, you have 100 sales. You decide to disappear. All those 100 sales have what? Referrals. I'll call all those 100 sales. I'll go sign up those referrals. I get massive amounts of fruit and labor from all your hard labor. Think about that. Happens all the fucking time. People do all the work for you. So I don't give up. Last thoughts. You said grit. You said expectation at the time. You said the first one. What was the first one?
Self-awareness.
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 I recently started becoming a little bit more self-aware of myself. Yeah. Because before I was too internal with myself and just not realizing how I was affecting people around me. How do you become more self-aware, and how does that help you with perseverance?
That one is actually a really good question. I think that it comes with reading. I think reading has helped getting other perspectives.
Like what? Reading a newspaper? Or?
No, well, I think that reading, you have to figure out.
Like books?
Books. You have to identify people that you'd like to be like, identify people that can play like a little bit of a ghost mentor to you, and you have to extract as much data that you can from that person.
That's so powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite? Who was your favorite ghost mentor?
For a long time for me, it was Victor Antonio, because I was trying to learn sales.
Wow.
And then it transitioned into like an Andy Frisella type of thing, right? Like that that drill season talk, you know. But it helped with self-awareness, understanding worldviews. I think help us understand, become more self-aware. Increasing and enhancing your philosophies and ideologies help. But I think ultimately it just becomes with more experience that you have with people, the more that you go through, the more pain that you go through, the more aware that you become. You know, especially as you're growing and you're learning through those pains.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
3 tips for someone that needs to get, you know, that's going through pain right now. They need to be more perseverant. 3 tips.
Yeah.
What would you give them?
3 tips for someone that's going through pain. It's temporary.
Cool.
Right. First thing is no pain lasts forever. Right.
Yes.
Even the worst pains.
Yes.
It's temporary. This too will pass. Learn from it. I would say whatever pain you're going through is for a reason. Most likely you're that reason. So try to figure out what you can do to maybe, you know.
It's your fault. I love that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Always
All
your
we go
fault.
through. Yeah, right.
It's always your fault.
And the third thing I could say is, and I think that this is probably an undergiven tip, realize the satire in it. Because everything serious always has a small joke to it. And the world sometimes is always playing a little bit of a...
5-letter word? Just kidding.
Right. The world sometimes plays a little bit of a prank on you. So kind of see the fun in it, enjoy it, see the satire behind it, and realize it's not the worst thing in the world.
I love it, man. We appreciate you guys. By the way, if you're not subscribed yet to the channel, do me a solid. Subscribe down below or above. Click the notification bell. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for sharing this video with other people that can be inspired to persevere. And like I said, we'll see you guys in the next video.